Okay, here we go. Here's a quick little lesson 55 from Alfred's Essentials of Music Theory, Book 3, page 87. Here we are going to go into major chord progressions. Okay, so let's just read it out loud. Major chord progressions. Chords that move or progress from one to another are called a chord progression. Because of the 1, 4, and 5 chords, because the 1, 4, and 5 chords contain all the notes of the major scale, they can be used to accompany, play along with, most simple melodies. In many chord progressions, a 5-7 chord is used in place of a 5 chord. So this just shows you all those chords in root position. The 1 chord in C major, of course, is C. The 4 chord is F because C, D, E, F because it's the 4th scale degree. C is the 1 again, obviously. G is the 5 chord because C, D, E, F, G because it's the 5th scale degree. The 5-7 chord has an additional 3rd stacked on top, so you've got the bottom note, which is the root, 3rd, 5th, and the 7. So there's your 5-7 chord, and again the 1 chord. When the 4 chord and 5 chord, or 5-7 chords, are in root position, the progression sounds choppy. To make it easier to play and sound smoother, the 4 chord often is moved to the second inversion, and the 5 or 5-7 chord is often moved to the first inversion. Now it's a little tough to hear how much better that sounds without actually playing it, so I would suggest taking a look at that on a piano. But here we go. The 4 chord, in the 4 chord, the 5th, C, is moved down an octave. Okay, so you take that C from up there and just bloop, put it on the bottom. So that's your second inversion, right? Remember, second inversion is always built on the 5th chord. Okay, so here we go. In the 5 chord, the 3rd, B, and the 5th, D, are moved down an octave. Okay, so that's first inversion, which remember is always built on the 3rd. Okay, so here we've got the B, the low B down there, and that's where the chord is built, right? So we've got G, B, D. So that's the root, 3rd, 5th, with the 3rd on the bottom. In the 5-7 chord, the 3rd B and the 5th D and the 7th F are moved down an octave. Okay, so everything moves down an octave except for the root, which stays there. Okay, so the root in this case is on top, and the very bottom note is that B right there. So the 3rd, it's built on the 3rd. Again, first inversion, always built on the 3rd. Okay, second inversion, always built on the 5th. Root position, obviously always built on the root. Okay, the following positions are often used for smooth progressions. Notice there is a common tone in each chord. Okay, this is really important. Root position, look at, you've got C, E, G here. Now if you look here, you go to the 4 chord. It says 4-6-4, so this is your second inversion 4 chord. So notice that you have the C in common, right? So, but what's interesting here is the C becomes the 5th of the 4 chord. So you've got F, A, C. You've got the 5th on the bottom. So the root is in common between the 1 chord and the 4 chord. And then look how smooth this progression is here. The E just goes up to an F, and the G just goes right up to an A. So that's really small movement, right? The C's are in common, and then you just move up a whole step here, and you move up, E to F is actually just a half step. So you move up a half step here, and then G to A, you move up a whole step. So it's really, really limited movement, which makes that very smooth sounding. Okay, so now here we are again, root position. We've got the 1 chord, C, E, G again. Now going to the first inversion, this is just our regular 5 chord because there's 3 notes here. The common tone now is that G, right? So the root, G, is on top here, and the first inversion is built on the 3rd. So we've got G, B, D. Root, third, fifth, with the third on the bottom, because again, first inversion is always built on the third. Okay, that's what first inversion means, built on the third, essentially. And then here with the 5/7 chord, same thing. That third's on the bottom, but instead we've got an extra note in there, which is the 7th. So instead of just G, B, D, we've got G, B, D, F for the 7. Okay. And then again, notice that smooth movement. You got the G and the G, which is common. And then look at this E just drops down to a D, and this C just drops down to a B. Okay, very, very, very smooth motion. Okay. Now let's tackle these exercises. Okay. So the 1 chord, write the chords in root position in the key of G major. Okay, that's what number 1 says. Write the chord symbol for each above the staff. So we're just going to make sure that we know what we're dealing with here. Okay, so we're in G major, which means we have an F sharp. Okay, so the 1 chord in G major, you build it on the first scale degree, which is G, and just stack it in thirds. G, B, D. That's your 1 chord in root position. Okay, now your 4 chord in G, you just got to go up a 4 and build it on the 4th scale degree. So G, A, B, C. Okay, you build it on the 4. So you start on the 4, which is C, and just stack thirds. C, E, G. 1 chord again, same thing. G, B, D, built on the 1st scale degree. The 5 chord in G, you've got G, A, B, C, D. Okay, so the 5 chord is built on the D, so you just got D. That's F sharp. You don't have to have the accidental though because it's in the key signature. And A. So D, F sharp, A. And then the 5/7 chord is the same thing. D, F sharp, A. But you add that 7 in there, okay? D, F sharp, A, C. So it's a 4-note chord. Now, back to the 1 chord. We've already got that. G, B, D. Okay. Number 2. Rewrite the above chord progression to make it sound smoother. Add chord symbols. Okay, so that's just telling you, to smooth out that voice leading. And it gives you exactly what to do down here, okay? Remember, if you look up here, if you move from a root position to a 4 chord, a 1 chord to a 4 chord, then you're going to do second inversion on the 4 chord. If you move from a 1 chord to a 5 chord, you're going to do first inversion on the 5 chord, okay? So 1 to 4, second inversion, 1 to 5, first inversion, okay? So let's see what that looks like. 1 chord, it's going to be the same. We're dealing with root position 1 chord, G, B, D. Now the 4 chord, remember, we've got to do the second inversion. Second inversion is always built on the 5th. So the 4 chord is going to be built on the 5th, which is G. And then we're going to have C, E. So C, E, G. So the 1 chord is our G major, and our 4 chord is a C major, but look at, we built it on the G, so you go C over G. That's that. Back to our 1 chord, same thing. G, B, D. All right. Now we're going to do 5/6 and 5/6/5. So these are both first inversions. Remember, first inversions are always built on the 3rd. So if we're in the key of G, what's our 5 chord? G, A, B, C, D. So our 5 chord is D, right? So we know it's going to be D major here. So let's just go ahead and write that in. We know it's D. It's probably going to be D over something. So we know that 5 chords in first inversion are always built on the 3rd, okay? So think about what's your 5 chord in D. D, F sharp. So F sharp, we know it's going to be built on that F sharp. So let's go ahead and put that there so we can build it on it, right? Now you could just do this a number of ways, You could think of it as putting that D up there, D, F sharp, A. Or if you want to think of, the 6th there, you remember that is derived from figured bass, and that would be 5 5, 6, 3, I believe. Yeah, 5, 6, 3. Because this is a third above the root, and this is the sixth. Sorry, this is the third above the bottom, and this is the sixth above the bottom. So that would be implied, 5, 6, 3. But there you go. That's your first inversion 5 chord. Now your first inversion 5, 7 chord, we just add the 7. So you've still got the F sharp, A, and the D, or to say it in order, D, F sharp, A. But then you also have the C in there, okay, to complete that 7 chord, all right? And actually, I messed up. You should put the D off to the side since we're dealing with, remember, whenever you have a second, you got to kind of stack them next to each other like that. Okay, 1 chord, G, B, D. G, B, D. There we go. So that's that. Oh, I forgot to finish this. So this is going to be D. This is going to be D over F sharp. I'm sorry, they're both D over F sharp. D over F sharp. Because the F sharp's on the bottom, D's on the top. And then here, we're just going to have G. G, B, D. There we go. Number 3. 1 chord, right? So for number 3, write the chords in root position in the key of F. So now we're in B flat, key signature, in the key of F, and we're in bass clef. So kind of got to switch brains here. So here, 1 chord in F is going to start on the F, A, C. Okay. Now we're going to go to the 4 chord in F. So the 4 chord in F is going to be F, G, A, B flat. Okay, so we're going to build that on the B flat. In root position, just stacking thirds. Okay, the 1, we're going back to the F, F, A, C. The 5 chord, okay, you can think about the 5 chord is just built because you have the 1, 3, 5 on the 1 chord. So you know it's going to be C, right? F, G, A, B flat, C. That's the 5. So then you got C, E, G. All right, the 5, 7, it's the same thing as the 5, C, E, G. We just add 1 more third on top of that, okay? So C, E, G, B flat stacked on top. And then 1 more 1 chord. F, A, C. Moving down, we're going to do the same thing for number 4 that we did with number 2. Rewrite the above chord progression to make it sound smoother. Add chord symbols. So just like before, when we go to a 1 to a 4, we're going to use the second inversion. Okay, second inversions are always built on the 5th. When we go from a 1 to a 5, we're going to be in first inversion, and first inversions are always built on the 3rd. Okay, so let's give this a whirl. We're just going to start F, A, C, because we're in bass clef. Move to our 4 chord. We're going to keep that F in common, okay? Because it's built on the 5th, right? Our 4. So basically our 1 becomes the 5th in our 4 chord, but it's now on the bottom to give us a second inversion, okay? So there you go. D, and then we've got, F, and then we have B flat and D. So there's your 4 chord, B flat, D, F, spelled in order. B flat, D, F. That looks like it's on the space. It's a little sloppy handwriting, but I assure you it's supposed to be on the line. There we go. Now back to the 1 chord. We already wrote it once. F, A, C. Our 5 chord in the key of F is going to be F, G, A, B flat, C. Okay, so our 5 chord is C. Here we go. And because we're in first inversion, it's built on the 3rd. So C, E is going to be on the bottom because our 3rd's on the bottom. So that's E, G. And then our C is up here. So C, E, G. C, E, G. That's our 5 chord. Okay? And that's going to be C over E. Oh, and I forgot to write these. So that's, remember, your 1 chord is your F chord, 4 chord is your B flat. I was saying all of this. Over F, because it's built on the F. Your 1 chord again is just F. Here's your 5 chord, which is C over an E because it's built on the 3rd. All right? 5, 6, 5. So now we're on our 5, 7 chord. So it's going to look very similar, right? Built on the 3rd. Okay? Here we go. So here we go. Oh, remember, I almost messed up. So we've got C, E, G, B flat. So put our B flat there, stack that in thirds, and just set your C over there. So C, E, G, B flat for your 5, 7 chord. Number 1, back to the same thing. Oh, C7 over E. Oh, I messed up again up here. D7 over F sharp. Keep forgetting. I remember number 1. Again, F, A, C. There's your F. Boom. And that's that. Yeah, not the most perfect little lesson, but hopefully that helps a little bit.